Hey you guys, welcome back to templeofsunshine.com. I cannot get enough of my new top. I am constantly in it, and that's probably why you're seeing perhaps a second video this week in it. I just thought I'd treat myself to some new clothes in lockdown. We're in lockdown number 3, and I just want to feel better while I'm working from home and wearing joggers constantly. So I'm just feeling myself in this outfit. But anyway, today's topic, a bit more important about my ramble about my new clothes. Today's topic is, I was given a piece of advice in 2020, so last year, that changed my life. And it's going to really help you if you suffer from the following: low self-esteem, insecurity, looking up to others constantly, comparing yourself to others, and always thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. And I'm sure more, but it's really helped me out and I can't wait to share this with you. So let's get straight into the video. Okay, so the piece of advice simply that I was given, and I don't want to keep you waiting, is that don't take advice from people that do not have the life that you want to live. Now, I know that sounds a bit mean, perhaps. Like, I know when I first heard it, I was a bit like, oh, like that could offend someone potentially. And that's definitely something that was an emotion that came out of me constantly wanting to please others and not upset anyone as I go along. And that is definitely one of the 5 things that I pointed out to you earlier. Like, I am someone, when I embark on a journey, so I want to talk to you about my business, I'm always looking at sort of other brands that have done it for themselves, people I'm inspired by, and I'm always comparing myself to their situation and feeling really negative about myself. Like, I want to be so candid with you. I've set up this channel to talk to you about the truth of my life, how I feel. I don't like to hide things. And there are definitely times where I go and look at follow accounts of other accounts, or I look at how quickly other YouTube channels blew up, or I look at just, the success of other brands, and it was like immediate. And for me, I feel like sometimes it's not so immediate, and that is a limiting belief, of course. And what comes out of that is I tend to then ask for advice, or when I can, I'll go and ask people, what do you think I should do, or whatever. And I just want to remind you that stop asking people for advice. You know the answer within yourself. You guys know that I'm a big aspiring Taoist sage. We all know the answer within ourselves. We all know the answer to every single question we have, even if we have zero expertise on that thing. Now, I don't mean, like, let's say you had a question on your taxes or your accounts, maybe you should ask an expert. But what I mean is advice about your life or your business or yourself. You often know the answer within yourself, and we don't need to ask someone else. So there are a lot of people that are going to give you unsolicited advice, or there's a lot of people who you'll go and ask for advice and they might not give you what you need, and then you overthink what they said, or maybe they don't give you the nicest advice and maybe they put doubts in your mind. So this video is for you if you're one of those people. Like, I have definitely in a low time asked a lot of people for advice, or people have tried to give me advice and I've taken it to heart, because let's say they tell me to slow down, but I don't want to slow down. I want to keep going 100 miles per hour. That has upset me, because it's like, maybe I should slow down. And the answer is no, I shouldn't. I know deep inside that what I'm doing makes me happy. So why should I change just because someone told me to slow down? And that's when I read somewhere, I don't remember the source now, and I do feel really bad, but it could have just been like an Instagram post, or maybe I read this in a book. But it was pretty much that you should not take advice from someone that doesn't have the life that you want to live. Now, this could apply to people that you actually really care about and love. This could be your parents. Our parents want the best of us, God bless them, and they give us a lot of advice, but definitely look at them and silently assess, is this the life that I want? If no, then maybe I shouldn't take their advice. Now, sometimes advice is really important. Sometimes feedback is really important. Like, you could be out here hurting people's feelings, being really inconsiderate, and someone might tell you, I think you need to work on yourself. That is good advice. So we need to separate the bad advice from the good advice. But there's a lot of people out there that will try and put their 2 cents in when it's not needed. So many times when I didn't have the self-confidence and the mindset that I do today, like especially with my career in my last job, I would get so obsessed about a specific thing, get so worried and like literally get so anxious. Like I used to check my Fitbit at times in my old job, and when I'd have an anxious day, my heart rate would be at fat burn for the whole day. So fat burn would be not resting heart rate. Like my Fitbit thought I was working out for the whole day. And in those really bad days, I would run around asking everyone for advice. I would literally like speak to any co-worker, anyone I could speak to about my problems. And I've done this in the past for so many different things. Like I've done this at university over work. I've done this definitely in my career so many times when I didn't have the confidence I do today. I've done this about sort of like relationship issues. Like it really ruins you when you are stressed, anxious, running around for advice and getting really upset. Then what happens is you get 10 different types of advice. It confuses you even more. And then some people will give you advice that's perhaps sometimes a little misleading. And even if someone gives you good advice, maybe it's not something you actually want to do or fits the situation, but then you feel so obligated to honor all this advice you've been given. So what I'd do is I'd overwhelm myself with all the advice that was given to me. I'd stress myself out even further, and I'd go home and have a complete meltdown. I used to do this a lot, like I said, in my previous job when things weren't going very well. And let's say I'd got myself into a situation that day, or I was having a hard day. I'd ask for so much advice, I'd get so stressed, and then people would definitely take advantage sometimes of someone who's having a bad time and just throw in a bit of their own drama and spice, and that would stress me out even more. What I have learned sort of 2 years on, wiser, stronger, is that I should have never asked for anyone's advice. When you're going through a tough time, you know you want to reach out and speak to someone you trust. I'm not telling you not to do that. Always speak to a friend, always speak to a family member, a loved one, to get things off your mind, but don't go and ask the whole world their advice. Don't go and ask people just willy-nilly for advice. Ask yourself for advice. You know the answer within you. I've done a video on that, and I tell you pretty much, meditate on it. Ask yourself the question, ask the universe, big deep breaths, calm yourself down. We always know deep inside what the answer is to our problem, our dilemma, our anxiety causing issue. So if we know the answer, and if we ultimately know that that is true, like we know that that is true, then why are we running around like a lunatic asking everyone for their opinion? Just remember, when someone gives you their 2 cents and you don't really appreciate it, and this definitely happens with family members, just remind yourself, are they living the life that I would like to live? So just remind yourself of that fact. Obviously use this advice with caution. Don't start assuming that nobody is on your level, or start completely disregarding people's really good advice or really good constructive criticism just because you don't like the sound of it. Make sure that you're using this advice to your advantage, and make sure you're using this advice to actually go forward and do good things for yourself. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and send this on to a friend that perhaps is me 2 years ago, frantic, bothered about something, perhaps asking too many people what their opinion is. Send this on if you know that this can help someone. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate your time. I love you all so much. Speak to you next time.